Hi, welcome to the Utazin, and in today's video I'm going to explain everything about the Woojin situation. Oh, never mind, 10x themselves did it. Wait, like the 10x Entertainment, Woojin's company? Okay, never mind then. Wow. To be honest, I had been wanting to do a YouTube video about defending Woojin because I had been sharing this info for months, but antis just didn't want to read it, even though they feed off bullshit threads and love to read slander comments, but they do not care to read one sentence of info that tells them that they were wrong. So I had decided maybe making a video would help them listen, but I just hadn't got into it because of a lot of school related things. But now, since I've graduated, I am ready to focus on YouTube and especially this video. But on June 30th, actually, 10x Entertainment dropped a 6-episode docuseries on the whole Woojin situation. On Woojin's channel, you can see the full uncut version. It's the exact same thing. So I watched it, and it was not what I or any of us expected it to be. I'm sure when we think of like this documentary, I'm sure we were expecting maybe like a sit-down session with Woojin, like an interview, and just what you would typically think what a documentary, how it should be. If you have not watched it, I'm telling you, it's not what it seems. You just have to watch it yourself, but if you don't want to, in this video, I will break down every chapter and just my thoughts about it. Maybe even some commentary along the way. You cannot tell I am on Woojin's side. I've said this in one of my videos, if not my most previous video, I don't even remember, so maybe my thoughts would be a little bit biased, but hey. The way the narrator put this is just unbeatable. Why? Well, you'll see. So the documentary starts out kinda deep, like what you would expect from a typical documentary. It had serious music and whatnot, and then gets to the thesis.
Because contrary to his calm smile, his phone's been ringing off the hook.
Then goes on this time-lapse compilation of tweets under some weird dubstep music, but still pretty typical to see with some documentaries. And then we're introduced to Blue Bear?
Hi, I'm Blue Bear, 10 months newbie in the entertainment industry.
If you're familiar with Woojin's content on his channel, he is associated with bears, and these staff members sometimes wear bear heads. It's pretty common, and if you didn't know that, you must be very confused right now. Blue Bear is our narrator and tells us that he works at 10x Entertainment. I don't know if that's true or just for the sake of this video, but he explains that everyone in the company were just given positions and tasks and were prepared to let this company thrive, and then they had to drop everything and anything they were doing to take care of this new job, which was to take care of this Woojin scandal that broke out. This was the company's story about what happened in that moment. So basically they're just explaining how it all started, so let me summarize it for you. So basically an anonymous Twitter user by the @name
A1B3C4S9.
Yeah, that tweeted a confession that an idol essayed her at a bar and kept using that he was an idol and formerly in a super popular boy group to try to manipulate her, giving us 3 hints like it's some Dora the Explorer type thing, for everyone to figure out who the idol was. It was obvious that they tried to say it was Woojin. That person confirmed it was him and literally said, And after that, everyone made other countless accusations, including that whole whiskey bit by the at
QP1QSOKW2X. God damn it, it's a long name.
You're telling me. They made a whole chapter on that accusation, so I will get into it more later. Not only that, Asaseng also publicly showed Woojin's cell phone number, which was just a shit move, no matter what you say. So I could only imagine how stressful the first couple of days it was for him. His accusations have been retweeting and blowing up, which made this lie seem like the truth, which led to Blue Bear, and I'm sure Woojin, to have...
Have you ever heard of hwapyeong? It's a disease especially observed in Koreans, and basically this is when you're falsely accused of something, and this unfair situation eats you up inside that your mental state symptomizes to physical illness. That is hwapyeong. It's on medical papers. Google it.
Moving on to chapter 2, Blue Bear talks about the whiskey accusation. If you don't know what the whiskey accusation is, basically user...
Damn it, it's a long name.
...accused Woojin to have essayed her too, saying that he met her in a bar and offered her whiskey and provided this picture as evidence. This user claimed that the person here was Woojin because they are wearing similar sweatshirts. Obviously not true. But apparently the CEO of 10X Entertainment is a whiskey nerd, hence the title of this chapter. With his knowledge about whiskey along with some research, they found out that Woojin did not attend that bar and saw that the photo was posted on Instagram by another guy. The original guy was informed that his photo was being used, and he was just appalled that his photo was being used for an accusation such as this. Then people didn't believe it because they found the evidence too quick, or it was photoshopped. Nah fam, they were just doing their job. You'd think that the same K-pop fans that preach companies not taking care of their idols' scandals, or we want the evidence and we want it now, and when 10X is doing exactly that, they are dismissing it. Weird.
Fuck.
Yeah, that just happened. Anyway, this chapter touches on the rumor of 10X Entertainment being a fake company. I think they also dissed the channel that made this shitty video, which I had not watched because I'm not gonna freaking give views to that shit.
FYI, impersonation is a legit crime. You know that, right?
So they showed their documentation and other official stuff that confirmed their existence. Another thing they talked about was how Woojin's Instagram got suspended. People claim that he deactivated and was trying to hide, which ended up not being the case at all. The bear then explained why his account got suspended, which simply is explained in Instagram's policy. You know, the terms and conditions we always skip.
Guys, come check this out. This is the terms of service for Instagram. Instagram is strict when it comes to criminals. Once proven guilty, you can never have your account back. Now, let's think in reverse. If you've never committed a crime, that means you can have your account back. Easy peasy. Long and tedious hours of patience and waiting. Instagram went through our documents very carefully. This took more time than you'd think. Anyways, Facebook is a trying company. No wonder they're a multinational conglomerate. We finally restored the account in months. What do you think it means? Let's read. We tried to make Facebook broadly available to everyone, but you cannot use Facebook if you're under 14 years old. Here, you are a convicted sex offender. Instagram's hammer of justice is unforgiving to convicted criminals. By the way, did you know? In Korea, you can't be a convicted sex offender if you want to work in entertainment companies. This goes without saying that even when establishing one and hiring for entertainment companies, everyone, and I mean everyone, has to be squeaky clean when it comes to sexual offenses. We, of course, are all clean. There's no one who still thinks we're a fake company, right? Does Twitter and Instagram put check marks on fake companies these days? Oh, and we applied for the silver button because we passed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Cubs, and everyone who's been supporting Woojin wherever you are, it's all thanks to you guys.
Chapter 4 explains the whole error in the translation of Woojin's statement he made in response to the initial scandal. Blue Bear basically gave us a whole-ass Korean lesson on this. He explains that language is more complex than you think. It's not as simple as insert phrase in an unreliable source like Google Translate, for it doesn't pick up different things like context. Which international stance literally just did that. They inserted the statement in Google Translate and said, yep, that's accurate. So I'm just going to run the video that explains everything.
Here's another thing that's unfair. You guys read Woojin's Instagram post? It was reposted everywhere, translated in English. But technically, it was a mistranslation. Even an 8-year-old Korean kid would tell something was wrong. Kids today speak really good English, blows my mind. Let's see here. Oh, see? This is wrong from the start. Let's look at Woojin's Instagram post. The title, Apology Statement, wasn't even there in the first place. He was flabbergasted and was explaining himself in defense of the ridiculous accusations. 안녕하세요, 김우진입니다. Hello, this is 김우진. You guys follow this, right? 오늘 황당한 일을 겪어서 팬분들에게 겸사겸사 근황 알릴 겸 글을 올립니다. Something absurd happened to me today. I wanted to catch up with the fans while I was at it. This word, 황당한, is the crucial point. Google translates this to simply weird. This is so very wrong. I mean, guys, think about it. You're lying in your bed and someone breaks your window and screams, "That person sexually offended me," and gathers everyone in the town up and fucking bails, and no one believes a word you say. What would that be like? What that would be like is, wow, I would like to roundhouse kick that fucking person in their stupid face. Sorry, I get emotional just thinking about it. Anyways, back to the point. 트위터에 누군가가 이상한 루머를 퍼뜨리고 계정을 삭제하셨는데 someone spread a strange rumor on Twitter and deactivated the account. 전 그분을 만난 적도 없고 언급된 곳에 가본 적도 없습니다. I have never met the person and have never been to the mentioned place. That's it. That is everything. What else does he have to say other than that? You don't apologize for something you didn't do. Apologize my ass. 팬분들 많이 놀라셨을 텐데 사실이 아니니까 너무 걱정 말아주세요. My fans must have been shocked. Don't worry too much because it's not true. Again, the accusations were false. Take a look at this instead. My fans must have been shocked. Don't worry. Woojin must have been shocked the most and he's still caring for his fans. Look at it. Look. See how sweet this guy is? 그리고 전 최근 마음이 맞는 한 회사와 계약을 해서 솔로 활동을 위해 열심히 준비하고 있습니다. I recently signed with a company of the same mind and now preparing for my solo activities. Everyone went crazy here. I don't care whatever you say, I don't know, so shut up and wait for my solo debut. So much stupidity. Back to the first line. Something absurd happened. To catch up, he's writing. He confirmed that none of the accusations were true and he wanted to console the worried fans by telling them the good news of his signing. 회사에서 허위사실 유포자에게 조치를 취할 예정이고 이후 대응은 회사에서 진행할 예정이니 너무 걱정 말아주세요. The company will be taking legal actions against the false accuser and further response will be taken care by them. Please don't worry. And see here, my company is preparing to take legal actions. Here, wait for the shitstorm that will bring down on doorsteps of your lying asses because it's not done yet. 그럼 또 소식 전할게요. 감사합니다. I'll be in touch. Thank you. Now, I know some of you are still saying, so much text. Here's a 3-liner summary for those who just won't get it. 1. There was nothing to apologize in the first place. 2. Lawsuit is still ongoing. 3. Woojin's a sweet, sweet guy.
Not to mention that Cubs and actual Koreans are showing proof that it was just a mistranslation and are proving that, but nobody cared. Can we also talk about how this was catered to international fans? Because 1, being a whole English video, and 2, Mentioning this mistranslation only shows that only international stands thought about this. Yeah, it's also in Korean, but nowhere did Kanits rave about this, and we would know that. It was bad because we know how Kanits act. Chapter 5. So, in this chapter, Blue Bear tells us that not only did 10X and Woojin had to suffer, but his supporters too. As a supporter myself, in my experience, even those who just wanted to bring up news, like people who did not necessarily like or dislike him, just wanted to bring light that, hey, look, y'all were wrong and here's some info as to why.
Openly ignored Woojin's fans on Twitter. Anyone who follows Kimwoojin or mentions him will be unfollowed. Yes, you're blocked. What? What if I show my support for Woojin? I'll be ostracized. I better stay down. So shy Woojin fans who still love and support Woojin but cannot express themselves kept piling up. Some actually have turned their backs because of the public opinion. Do you guys know the feeling when people slowly turn their backs to you one by one?
But then that would happen, which made us feel bad when all that we, the Cubs, just wanted to do was to show that, hey, we were wrong and here is the proof. But nothing seemed to work and just continued to get bullied and criticized and judged. It felt awful. Continuing on, Blue Bear explains that we did not give up, considering that we conducted our own investigations and gathered together to crack this code. Now here's a rundown on all the information we got to catch the criminals.
R and TV. Remember these names. The first accuser, also known as @A1B3C4S9 on Twitter, uploaded the first tweet with not much of an impact. It's only when the powerful Twitterian with 5,000 followers retweeted this claim and this rumor began to blow up to proportion. The person who retweeted is this person, R. R said that the first accuser was a friend of hers. The account @A1B3C4S9 was created on September 1st of 2020 with the account name @ConfessMyDay when initially created. The name was changed prior to the accusing. Interesting. What we should focus on is that one of the followers for this account was R and also TV. It's highly probable that all three of them were acquainted. Of course, it was just a speculation at this point. The great detectives assumed that more important information would be there at the first accuser's Twitter, so they dug and dug and dug and then dug some more. In that process, they came across an email address. Look, it's quite odd for an email address. First up, it's long, and more dots than there should be in a regular email address. Our great detectives would never let this slip from their sight. They recognized where this email form was regularly used. Has anyone else guessed? @student.student. 7 letters. Yeah, that's right. It's an email address for a university student. And there just so happened to be a suspicious international school located in Korea. This is the profile for a different student at the same school. What? This email address? So familiar. Now let's get into it and compare the letters. We can see that the number of letters match perfectly with the reference. We won't reveal the whole spelling. We don't want to shine a bad light on the school itself. At first I thought it was like the Department of TV and Broadcasting. What is a TV? Now everyone, let's read together slowly. What was the name that we have to remember today? TV. That's right everyone, good job. We know that haters gonna hate.
Hey, isn't that a stretch? There must be thousands of email addresses starting with TV. And how can you be sure it's that university email? What if it's just a coincidence the number of letters matched? At A1B3C4S9 equals a student at the university equals TV? Really?
Hey, I won't be here talking unless we were absolutely sure we have our facts straight. Looking at TV's TikTok and Instagram sent to us by the fans, we know that this person spent the season in Korea, enrolled in that university. By the way, I found TV's account. Seems happy, looking peachy when I work all night thanks to you. Anyhow, we checked the fact that TV actually went to that university until August of 2020 by making an inquiry to the student council. And the fact-checking was an overkill because TV willingly admitted. TV said, I have no idea about the email, blah blah, I will check it later because I don't access that email since I'm no longer linked to blah blah university. And that I did create the account at Confess My Day, but I don't own it now. I told R the password for the account. What? And R said that she doesn't know who Kimwoojin is. Really? Does R really not know who Woojin is? Whew. Clearing my head, I thoroughly went through R's Twitter account. Doesn't know him, my ass. She happened to have tweeted on October 28, 2019, 1 year prior to this whole fiasco, raging on about Woojin. And R was the one responsible for retweeting the first accusation and spreading the rumor. Stop changing your stories!
I don't know, it wasn't me, it was someone else.
If you don't know, you should have stayed silent. The best of friends, R and TV, when cornered with facts, were busy turning on each other and running away. Are you guys still good friends? Just curious. Now, to conclude. Both suspects were from Brazil. One of them, TV, is the owner of the account with the initial false accusation. R was the person with 5,000 followers who retweeted the story to actively spread the rumor. All of this, and I mean all of this, was put together from the investigations and information sent to us by the fans who still support Woojin. The great detectives that picked us up from the ground when we fell and put wings on our shoulders. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We love you. We're in the process of launching an international investigation with our lawyers. It's known to take some time, but we got time. It's not us whose asses are on fire, if you know what I mean. Wink. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams, Cubs. And good night to you, too. I bid you farewell. R and TV.
In this final chapter, Blue Bear basically concludes that this bullshit happens all the time. Bullying happens all the time, whether you're in school or in work. It happens in any age somewhere, even on the internet, and is the most common form of bullying because people feel safer to spread such negativity behind a screen with a K-pop or anime profile picture hiding your actual name, because face it, especially with this antisocial generation, if you were to see Woojin right now in real life, perhaps you see him walking down the streets, you would not say the things you would write on your social media platforms to him. You would not go up to him and commit a hate crime like y'all say you would. You would not go up to him and say your death threats to him, and if you do, people will just look at you like you're a lunatic. Which you are. But the thing is, with this cyber slander and stuff, it happens all the time to just ruin people's lives, and some people are sick enough to do it for fun, and it needs to be said. Like, as much this was about Woojin's experience along with 10X's, but in a general sense, because again, it happens a lot to where celebrities, idols, and even normal people to where it's normalized and it shouldn't. Stuff like this needs to be stopped. Which was the whole purpose of this documentary, was to bring awareness to something like this. Then Blue Bear ended with this statement.
Remember? We all know. The serious cyberbullying that's taking place in the entertainment business and the K-pop scene for the past few years. Countless gossips and rumors spread. Reckless invasion of privacy, inhumane hate comments, not to mention unfiltered news reports carrying out these false facts. We witnessed how a person could break down from it. We felt sad, watching it all. Bullying can happen in any groups, school, workplace, or some random group of people, even in cyberspace where everyone who doesn't know each other comes together. Many K-pop singers, celebrity, and even people we pass by every day suffer such violence in the cyberspace. And most of what starts it is one careless comment. Maybe that person did it to gain empathy, or maybe by just being so cruel, maybe really wanted it. This is quite serious, you know? What you think is nothing serious can crush a person's life and grab it by the throat. After going through something so terrifying, I think it's unfair to stay quiet because the victim was a celebrity. Famous or not, victims have the right to have a voice, and we should listen to it. So, don't we all want the same thing? To have no more victims, whomever that is, including Woojin. We'll do everything to protect Woojin, whatever that may be, and really put our hearts to it. And protect kimwoojin and his fans who stood by him through thick and thin. Oh, and were you surprised because we reply to all your comments with our company official account? And because no other company does it? Still, someone might think that South Korea is such a faraway country, hours on the plane and numbers of transit. How would they fuck us up? Okay, to be frank, it's complicated. Double the work, double the cost. We have to soldier on through 16 hours of time difference and email the lawyer in California where Twitter HQ is and wait for the reply. After a while, people from other countries become our neighborly friends and we might leave work and head home when the sun is rising. We wanted to make sure that there were no more victims like ourselves and that we should leave a record of our case on the internet. You might think we're overreacting, but I think somebody needs to step up to do the job. Don't you agree?
And the video ends, just like that. Wow, first of all, that was a good and much needed video. When writing this script, it actually took me 2 days. 1 day for half and the other half I wrote the day after. I just knew this was going to gain so much controversy, so I wanted to see what people were going to say. But it only received backlash only because it was Woojin. Literally no other reason. Well, there were a few, but the majority was circled around just because it was Woojin and his scandal. I did not look into the comments of the video under 10x or Woojin, and I did not see any confessions or opinions or outrage in Twitter or Instagram because honestly, if people are still outraged after all in that video was said, I'm not going to bother with them. I'm just going to let them continue to be stupid. I do own a Woojin support account on Instagram though, called Woojin, where I share most things that pertain to Woojin and his scandal, and in that account I have a lot of mutuals who are also CUBs and help spread the word, and I saw them post or share that people were outraged about the documentary because they made essay into an aesthetic. What? All I have to ask is, did you even watch it? Because you reek that you didn't, because if you actually watched it, you would understand the purpose of the documentary. The purpose of this documentary was to showcase what not only Woojin felt in this moment in his life, but also the entirety of 10x Entertainment, the staff, the CEO, freaking Blue Bear, and to spread awareness that yes, stuff like this happens all the time and it needs to be stopped because they do not wish for anyone else to be traumatized, yes, literally traumatized with an experience like this. People said that they should have made it about actual victims and to think about victims, but that's not the case. Why would they talk about victims of SA when there were none pertaining to him? If you watched the documentary or caught up, you would know that. Besides, the real victim here was Woojin and 10x Entertainment, for they were slandered and Woojin was facing stuff that would defame him, which, by the way guys, slander and defamation is a crime. I'm sure you all knew that after you got your lovely emails from 10x and got scared from and had to tell your parents that you got a fine. I continue to mock them, but you guys are literally stupid for doing that. You are just asking for it. 10x, do your thing. In no way did this documentary mock SA or SA victims at all. They just mocked those who said were victims and those who believed in knowing that they were wrong. aka R, TV, and Wentais. Did Blue Bear in the video say, well, SA is kind of funny though, imagine being SA'd? No, he did not. After all, the point of the video was not about SA, it was for SA allegations being pointed to someone and ruining their life, which happens all the time. Again with the blind trust where someone says one thing and people just roll with it because none of these Wentais saw the documentary to understand. They just saw a tweet of a hater who used SA for aesthetics and promotion and ran with it. They do not know how stupid they look. Plus, why would they make a documentary about SA when that did not happen and this was her story? They have the right to make this documentary about what they suffered and what they went through. I cannot understand why people are hating on Woojin or 10X when the perpetrators were literally the ones who lied about being essayed, making that into a joke. And people still have those girls' backs. Tell me you're stupid without telling me you are stupid. It's just so dumb to me. You'd rather believe a story so fake than be happy that nobody was actually essayed? R and TV were the ones that made essay into an aesthetic by doing this. What is not getting into your heads? They are really making comments about something that had nothing to do with the actual video. They are literally comparing apples to oranges. Another thing I applaud about 10X's documentary was the style of it. It was funny, witty, not serious, and Blue Bear was cursing and dissing people left and right. I loved it. Others did not. Many antis were fired up in Twitter about how it was not professional and that they should have sat Woojin down and had an interview, Q&A session, and confess how he felt, like if they cared. First off, Woojin on a live, on an article, and on this exclusive interview that was uploaded recently, if not the same day as the documentary, Woojin has talked about how he felt before. You guys just didn't know, but what do I expect from a group of people who ignored 7 to 9 months worth of truth being out already? Let alone will check Woojin's content to see for yourself. Once again, not only was the documentary about Woojin, it was more so about the company and how they felt. What the company had to go through. How they overcame this suffering and showing how they caught the original poster. Because it's not just Woojin's suffering, it was the entirety of 10X. So it makes sense for 10X to make the video about themselves and to include themselves, because if you watched it, it was hardly about Woojin himself. He was mentioned about 5 to 8 times max, from what I remembered at least. It was circled around Woojin's scandal, but it wasn't really about him, but it was at the same time. This way was a good call because you can tell this was catered to the younger people. With the memes and the GIFs and just the entire vibe of this video, that you can totally tell this is not what most documentaries or how most documentaries are conveyed. I mean, from the sounds of it, it sounded like the guy who claims to be Blue Bear was young too, so why am I saying this is important? Because I know the 14 to 25-year-old audience, which is the age group that this was circling this, would ignore this even more if it was a typical interview with Woojin. It would be boring, especially if you do not care about him or hate him. It would give you less of a reason to care about watching it. This will grab the attention of the young audience because it was made for them. Most of the people here, like I said, are teenagers and are in the Gen Z generation. This is literally how Gen Z people act and talk, and if you were offended or felt like you were mocked by Blue Bear, yeah, he was talking about you. Like seriously, since when did you care about professionalism when the majority of you all are not even an adult? Sure, you can argue I'm 15 and I can be more mature than most adults here, but let's be honest. Most of y'all cry when being yelled at. You shut down when you gotta ask for like a ketchup packet in McDonald's by yourself, and are not capable of registering your own appointment by phone calls. Please. Y'all are legit children that complain about how boring school is 24/7, and you are out here saying that you would have preferred an interview type documentary. No, you're just mad that Blue Bear freaking called y'all out and mocked you and called you stupid. Someone from the company themselves called you out, which was very much needed. And if you're literally hurt or outraged by Blue Bear just calling you stupid, do we really have to remind you how the majority of you guys literally gave Woojin death threats and called him names and legitimately bullied him, and most likely the company as well? And you want to take a step back because you do not like that Blue Bear called you stupid? Say that he wants to throw a chair at you, or simply just mocked how you sound? Shut up. Seriously. Companies don't do this. They might be marketing off of Woojin's traumas. First off, when did you care? And secondly, just because you see all of these corrupt businesses, and there are a lot of them, you cannot just generalize every business. It's like generalizing a whole race or a whole gender or just simply something as food, I don't know. People generalize my ethnicity to these stereotypes, but not many people fall under that stereotype. So you cannot just simply be like, oh, 10X is a business, so they are automatically corrupt. Or they should do it like this because that's how business typically do it. And we know how weird and dumb most K-pop companies act and do their business. Maybe 10X is going to be the odd one out, and so not like them. Of course, when the real shit gets involved, they're not going to make a joke out of it. Did they make Woojin's situation into a joke when it was first noticed, or even during? No, not until now, because it was complete bullshit. I get where you're coming from, that you cannot trust businesses, and who knows, maybe Woojin didn't get a say in this, or there might be things that he did not agree to, or they might even screw him over later, but as of now, 10X is different from the rest and are the best company as we know now, because this is how you protect your idols. Other agencies do not put as much effort as 10X did for their artists, and I think you are mad because that's the truth too. 10X Entertainment is number 1 on my tier list, and hopefully it stays that way. All in all, I say this documentary was very well needed and really well made, and I can conclude that the people who are mad and outraged about it just simply did not watch it, because they are really talking out of their asses and are talking like they know what happened in the documentary when they don't know what they're talking about. I may have broken down for you, but I encourage you to watch it if you haven't already, because it's actually a good piece of work. If you are a supporter of his, you can get a laugh out of this, because this was literally just a story of our lives too. And if you are not a supporter of his, well, let me rephrase that. If you are one of his antis or haters, because it's one thing to not support him and to hate him. There are people who believe the truth or simply respect him but do not support him, which is fine, because at least they mind their own business. As for the haters, I hope you can learn something, but if you dismiss any of this information, I would genuinely think you're stupid. This is the last resort that could possibly change your mind about the rumor. Again, you don't have to support him, but if you still genuinely believe he did this, you're actually fucking dumb. And before anyone pulls this line in the comments, if anybody even decides to see this, but what about the bullying he did to stray kids? First of all, that did not happen, and there's a video that I linked that covers that in the description, but most importantly, that is not a matter for 10X to uncover, because JYPE cuts ties with anyone who releases himself, or anyone that JYPE releases, and anyone who was involved with the person released cannot be mentioned or anything like that. So that's why we have not heard anything from JYP Entertainment or from the Stray Kids, and you might not ever. If we are talking about companies taking advantage of the scandal, JYP Entertainment took advantage of Woojin's scandal by cutting him out of thumbnails as a way to get attention. And 10X cannot speak on things from any other company. It wouldn't make sense if 10X made another documentary about Woojin's bullying rumor when it has nothing to do with them, which is why they hadn't talked about it, because it would bring in another artist that are not under them. Even the documentary dodged to say that Woojin was formerly from JYP Entertainment in the video. But what was in the video, they did briefly mention the bullying right here. I don't know if that means they are going to take care of the bullying rumor next, but I personally think it's unlikely though. I would like for it to be touched on and finalized once and for all, so the toxic stays could shut the fuck. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. I hope I made sense, and if not, you can always check out the documentary yourself. It's very detailed, along with a few other YouTubers who touched on the subject too. Hopefully you learned something. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.